Okay, the first thing that you need to do inside your WordPress back office is to customize a few settings. So this is yourdomain.whatever/wp-admin. So remember always that wp-admin to reach your admin section of your WordPress website. Now if you go to settings and then click on general, then you'll see first of all your site title, tagline there as well, and also your URL, your website address of your website. Now, first of all, your site title. So you can change this to something else if you want. That's just your main title that perhaps becomes your heading of your site as well on your homepage. Probably just keep it as your brand at the moment, and you can always alter that in the future. But of course, you'll want to choose this and change it as well. So that's the tagline, just another WordPress site. So that can sometimes actually be the description in search engine results. So you certainly don't want that to appearing there. So at the moment I've got just a description written here. I haven't thought a great deal about it, so all I've done is a monthly podcast discussing the latest books in our Business Book of the Month Club. So that's what I've called it there. I might take out the full stop there actually. So that's going to be the tagline at the moment. It depends what theme I use for the design of my site as to where that tagline might appear. So it's something that's better, obviously, than was there, but I may change again in the future. Now, the next thing to have a look at here is your website address. And that's http://www. in this instance here. Now, most websites, I think, probably should have a structure like that. Some websites choose to have a structure without www. The most important thing is you keep to just the one working from an SEO perspective. So, for instance, if I go to the existing site, businessbookofthemonth.com, you can see that that loads. But if I take out the www, it actually redirects to www. And that's good from a search engine optimization perspective, because what you don't want is to have two different URL versions of your site loading, because then search engines will get a little bit confused and won't be sure necessarily which one to rank. So within your settings here, you should stipulate your site address, and then you should check that the non-www version redirects to your www version, or vice versa, whichever version you want to be the main version of your website. If it doesn't, then what you need to do is contact your host, and then they will be able to assist you, pointing you along the right direction to ensure that that happens correctly. You've got a few other settings here as well. You've got your email address, obviously. You've got your time zone, date format, time format there as well. So you can change that there as well. You can change your site language there as well. But the most important thing in there as well is at the top, these three things, having your site title, tagline, and your main site address. So that is in the general section of the settings. Now, if I move down to the next one, which is writing, so let's click on that there as well. Now, within the writing section here, the main thing that I want to make you aware of is the default post category. Now, at the moment, by default, it's uncategorized. When you start publishing posts within your blog, now your blog could be a separate section of your WordPress website, and it's all managed here by the same admin section. So the blog I'm talking about now, if you're blogging particularly about one subject and you wish that one subject to be your default post type, then when you're actually creating posts, and we'll get to posts in a bit, you'll have categories associated with it. So you'll then see more categories here. And what you want to make sure is the default category is the most common category, the most common type of blog post that you want to regularly publish. So there we go. That's probably the two most important things there when it comes to general and writing there. Next tab is reading that I would like to show you. And in terms of reading, you've got a few options here. Your front page could display your latest posts, or it could also include feature a static page instead. And then you can select another page for your post page. So this is what you would select if you didn't want your home page to be your latest blog posts. then that's using WordPress more of a business type website. And that's what most business websites do. They will have their front page as a static page. They will create a separate static page within their pages section of the menu. Don't worry, I'll show you this pages section a little bit more later on. But if you want to do that, then that would mean, of course, that your posts page would have to be something different. So you create a different page URL, probably /blog, to house your latest blog posts, and then you structure your site like that. You can also change things like having your latest number of blog posts. It could maybe be your latest 2 or your latest 3 blog posts rather than your latest 10 blog posts. You've got your latest feed content. So your feed, your RSS feed, is what people use to subscribe to your blog, or you could syndicate your content elsewhere. And then you've got an option here of including your full text or summary within a feed there as well. And I would certainly also at the bottom here, search engine visibility, make sure that this one is unticked. So have a look at this. If you are working on your website at the moment and it's a new site and you don't want it to be indexed by search engines until you actually start publishing your site to the style, the end look that you want it to look like, then simply tick this box and click Save Changes. That way search engines will be discouraged from crawling and ranking your site. Next up is your discussion settings. So inside here, it's really about what happens when people want to comment on your blog. So you can also automatically notify any blogs linked to from the article. So if you publish a blog post and then you link to that blog post, you can automatically notify that other blog post out there on the other site that you have written about them. And that's called a ping and a trackback. So you can also say allow link notifications from other blogs, that's pingbacks and trackbacks. So in other words, if other people write about you, then would you want to include those notifications within your comments there? You can try it to begin with, and if you get too many of them or too irrelevant pingbacks and trackbacks, then you can just untick this and not include that within your posts. Also allow people to post comments in new articles there as well. So that's by default. To begin with, you're unlikely to have lots of comment spam, but it may happen in the future. So if that's the case, then there are other comment settings that you can use to try and alleviate that. Comment author must fill in name and email. Users must be registered and logged in to comment, or automatically close comments or articles older than 14 days. So these are a few things that you can be doing to actually make it less likely that you're going to be getting too many spam comments. One thing that I notice is that if your blog post has been live for quite a while, then it's probably more likely to get a few spammy type comments. So that's why this option is available after you've published your article initially. That's probably where it's had its initial social shares and a few real comments on there, and perhaps after that, comments after that are less likely to be real comments. Enable nested comments so you can have discussions within comments. Break comments into different pages, so if you get loads of comments on the same page, it's not something that you should worry about to begin with, but it's just something for you to be aware of. You can also have options of whether anyone can post a comment and whether a comment should be held for your moderation and whether or not it must be manually improved. You can also have things like holding a comment if it contains 2 or more links. So that's quite good. That's a common way of dealing with spam, because often spam contains extra links back to someone else's website. So the discussion section is a good thing to be aware of once you start publishing a lot of content. Moving on to the media section within the settings menu, and this is where you control the image sizes of the images that you load up. So by default, it's 150 by 150 pixels or 300 by 300 pixels if what happens is you're loading a larger file in there and you include it within a blog post. However, you might have a particular blog post style where the standard image may look better if it's something like 400 by 400. If that's the case, then set these, like either the thumbnail size or probably the medium size, to 400 by 400, then when you're actually publishing a blog post, you can select medium size of image and it'll automatically go to 400 by 400 or whatever size suits you. So that's quite a useful thing to have there as well. One other thing within this menu that I'd like to tell you about is permalinks. Now this is very, very important. Do not leave it at default. Choose custom structure. So by default, it's businessbookofthemonth.com/?P equals 123. So P equals, and this is obviously the ID number of the post that you have published. But it's not very search engine friendly. Search engines don't particularly like question marks because they think that the real URL has ended then, and also it doesn't include any phraseology that indicates what the page is about. So I much prefer, and I think most people recommend, post name as the structure. So that would be if you wrote a post about a particular book. So the first book, breaking news, that we're going to be featuring on the Business Book of the Month podcast is The One Thing. So if I have a post about that, I would probably have the URL businessbookofthemonth.com/the-one-thing. And then that's optimized nicely for that book. But it's also tells readers who are actually seeing that URL without actually viewing the web page what the post is likely to be about. So this is the very important thing. So I'm going to save that right now because that's the custom structure that I'm going to use for Business Book of the Month. Next up, we're going to take a look at the users section. So if you click on users there on the left-hand nav menu inside your admin panel of WordPress. Now, it'll probably just be you that appears there. Now, if you have a gravatar, that is an image that's associated with your email address set up at gravatar.com already, then it will probably find an image of you there. If not, you can do that at gravatar.com. But anyway, I'm going to click on my username here and have a look at the things that I want to amend. The important thing that I would like to do is first of all add my first name and last name there. My username is just David actually. The email I'm using is david@digitalmarketingradio.com. So I've got a couple of other things to copy across here. So one is the URL. So that's the website address that I'm going to use at the moment actually, digitalmarketingradio.com. And I've got a small bio here. I've just written that a second ago here. It's not that significant. Founder and host of Digital Marketing Radio, podcast that features weekly interviews with online marketing gurus. Because depending on the theme, the design that we end up having, that may or may not feature within the design. But it's good practice just to make sure that it is there at the moment. So you will scroll down to the bottom there and click Update Profile. So that's your user information sorted there as well. Next little section we're going to have a look at is media. Now media is where you upload images that you want to include either within your website, your whole WordPress website anywhere, or somewhere within a blog post. So you just click Add New, select Files, and it's just a case of uploading them from your own computer there. So not a problem there, but I just wanted to show you where to do it. And then finally, I want to show you the comments section. Now the comments section is where comments will appear where other people have added a comment underneath one of your blog posts or your pages on your site. So you may find that you get loads and loads of comments. If that's the case, then you have to manage them, or you have to perhaps bring in some kind of anti-spam plugin to deal with it, or perhaps switch comments off. But anyway, if you've got comments coming in, this is where they will appear. You'll get a little alert icon to show you that there are comments that you haven't looked at or approved or interacted with. So we've got one default comment there as well in response to the existing default post, which is Hello World. Every single post is like that. Now within here, you can actually reply to it and add your own reply, including bold, italic, within links in there as well. And as well as approving this blog comment, you can also actually add your comment at the same time, and then you'd scroll across here and then click on the reply icon, and that would be added to the blog post. So comments are fairly easy to deal with, but it's an important thing to be aware of within a WordPress CMS.